Okay, go ahead, sir.
Mayor Brody and members of council, my name is Jeju Wang. I'm a Richmond resident. Today, I would like to focus on one question that has never been answered. What evidence does the council have that the current supporting house system is working? The staff report says that the city has an MOU with BC Housing and community builders. It also says that regular meetings take place involving the operator, Richmond RCMP, Richmond Fire Rescue, and Vancouver Coastal Health. I acknowledge that oversight structure. The hearing materials mention oversight, but we don't see the actual results. We have not been shown the following 6 important data. 1. Site-specific RCMP, fire, and ambulance call data. 2. The number of complaints received data. 3. Complaint response and resolution times and cost data. 4. The amount of on-site clinical and addiction support delivered. 5. The data of residents who have been transferred into permanent house. 6. An independent report showing the project has met its original targets. This option is important because the public record contains 2 very different accounts. The staff's report says that there's no recorded bylaw infractions, and the operator's report says there's no recent incidents involving neighbors. But the same report says a nearby resident and business owner alleging break-ins, attempted entry, through drug waste, property damage, and a significant police response. I request the City Council to resolve this issue before renewing another 3 years. As an announced councillor candidate, I have received a lot of emails, photographs, and videos about this location. What I see is that the public confidence in the current system has been broken down. Public confidence cannot be rebuilt by simply approving a new permit. It requires transparent information and accountable standards. The Council should require and show the public at minimum the following 6 documents. Publication of a new transparent and accountable agreement. Site-specific emergency service and incident reporting. Minimum staffing and clinical support requirements. A documented complaint response process. Regular public performance reports. An independent safety and operational review. I vote against this renewal will not immediately close the Aster Place. The existing permit remains until March 15, 2027. That gives the responsible agencies 8 months to protect the current residents while developing a more accountable and responsible plan. To house low-income individuals and to protect the community's safety are not conflicting. A successful, supportive housing plan must do both. Due to the current situation, I politely ask you not to approve this application. Today, I don't want to tear up our community. I'm here to show you the days decide first, informing later is over. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sheldon Starrett.
Good evening. My name is Sheldon Starrett, and I'm a resident of Richmond. Before I get into my speech, there was just one point on the notice here. The addresses for the location include a number of addresses for Smith Street and also 9031 Bridgeport Road. But it looks like the road that goes by there is Beckwith, and a number of the businesses in the neighborhood asked, why does it say Bridgeport instead of Beckwith? So that's just a housekeeping thing I wanted to bring up. So yes, my name is Sheldon Serrett. I am a resident of Richmond that lives directly across from a temporary modular low-barrier supportive housing site, very much like Aster Place at 2520 Smith Road. I think this uniquely qualifies me to speak on the matter because I have firsthand seen the negative impacts and consequences that these sites bring to the neighborhoods where they are erected. Aster Place is a 40-unit temporary modular supportive housing facility that opened in September 2022, developed by BC Housing, the City of Richmond, and operated by community builders. It was created to provide temporary housing and on-site support services for people experiencing or at risk of homelessness, with a particular focus on residents transitioning from Richmond's COVID-19 Emergency Response Centre. The project was intended to provide short-term housing stability and support while helping residents move toward a more permanent housing and greater independence. The intended success of Aster Place should be measured against the objectives set out by BC Housing, the City of Richmond, and community builders when the project was approved, not simply whether the building remains occupied. The primary intended outcomes were transition people from homelessness into stable housing, reduce chronic homelessness, help residents move toward greater independence and permanent housing, improve resident well-being and reduce reliance on emergency services, consistent with BC Housing's Housing First model. Province-wide evaluations have also used metrics such as housing retention, improved health, reduced hospital admissions, and better quality of life. But now we must ask ourselves if Aster Place achieved those objectives. The difficulty is that there is almost no publicly released outcome data for Aster Place itself. Neither BC Housing nor community builders has published extensive site-specific statistics, such as how many residents have successfully transitioned to permanent housing, average length of stay, employment or education outcomes, reductions in emergency room or police interactions, improvements in addiction or mental health, or the proportion of residents who have returned to homelessness. Without these metrics, it is not possible to conclude from public evidence whether Aster Place has succeeded or failed in achieving its intended objectives. The publicly available information primarily confirms that the building is occupied and continues to provide supportive housing. So we have a low-barrier supportive housing model that has failed to yield results or even any transparent metrics. The only semblance of metrics we sort of have any information on, and again, they are loose too because BC Housing does not provide the full scope, are the costs. Taxpayers have already invested at least roughly about $16.3 million in Aster Place through BC Housing's construction funding. The City of Richmond's contribution of land valued at $6.58 million and up to $250,000 in development and servicing costs. That represents a known capital investment of approximately $408,000 per resident, assuming a conservative ongoing operating subsidy of $1.5 million annually. The cumulative public investment after nearly 4 years of operation is estimated to exceed $22 million, or roughly $558,000 per resident. These figures do not include additional public expenditures such as healthcare, policing, emergency services, or income assistance, which are not publicly reported on a site-specific basis. We also know what has happened since the site was established: increased public disorder. Neighboring businesses and residents have reported concerns about loitering, public intoxication, open drug use, discarded needles, trespassing, disruptive behavior in the vicinity of the site. Beyond that, there's been many incidents of crime that have followed from the establishment of the site in the neighborhood, ranging from theft, breaking and entering, vandalism, property damage, arson, and theft. This disorder may not necessarily be caused by residents living in Aster Place, as these sites have shown that friends and or guests of the residents, both wanted and unwanted, also show up in the area and contribute to the disorder. These concerns have been raised repeatedly over the years, that there has been very little follow-up and, dare I say, complete inertia from all levels of government on correcting these problems. This is why I'm here to speak to City Council tonight to call for the complete end of the failed low-barrier social experiment implemented at Aster Place. The model is not working, and it's time for the city to call upon for secure detox and treatment to be established in Richmond, a model that actually treats drug addicts with compassion so that they can overcome their addictions. I want there to be supportive housing in Richmond for those who are homeless, but it must have stricter compliance and zero tolerance for criminal behavior and the use of hard and illicit drugs. Our vulnerable homeless population, many who are seniors, do not deserve to be lumped into housing with people addicted to drugs and related mental health comorbidities. It is not safe to be around some folks impaired by drugs, especially those with extensive criminal records, as well as factoring into the picture their drug dealers that are known to frequent these sites. That is why those with drug addictions need secure detox and treatment, so that once they recover, they can be transitioned to housing that is crime-free and free from addictive illicit drugs. So I call upon each and every one of you to listen to the folks here tonight and to end the failed low-barrier drug housing site model and call for meaningful change. We owe it to those battling addiction to get their compassionate care. We owe it to homeless seniors that need safe, supportive housing, free of crime and hard drugs. And we owe it to the residents and businesses of Richmond who have had to endure the last 5+ years of negative impacts and financial burden these sites have imposed upon them. So I hope they will vote to end the drug sites and to end Aster Place in its current iteration, which is currently a failed social drug site experiment. Vote for compassion and hope. And I hope everyone in this room reflects upon the role they have contributed in these failed policies. Thank you.